allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. On to the budget. Last time around, we got to the library. The only thing that we don't have is data on the equipment on capital outlay. And I thought we might have some information tonight, but we do not.
Still waiting on that, yes.
Still waiting on that. So we are going to hold off on the rest on that one piece, and we're going to move to the fire. I need commentary on the fire, please.
Our budget worksheets had the percent increases. And it's not in this tentative budget. Do we have those numbers?
I think this is 15.
Yes.
That's a 15% jump. And that's after conversations with the chiefs and looking at a number of their budgets that basically showed that they are falling behind when it comes to purchasing equipment. And I know, go ahead. I know where you're going with this.
Well, I just wondered if we got clarification on this budget. So some people are in the North Creek Fire District and we don't have their budget numbers. And the rest of the town outside of the North Creek Fire District is in a fire protection district. And are those two separate for individual taxpayers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this increase is only going to affect those that are outside of the North Creek Fire District.
My understanding is, yes, if you're in the five companies, it's one fire tax. If you're in North Creek District, it's whatever they levy, because they have to, because they're a district, they abide by the tax cap and all of that. So, but it's on your, my understanding, you correct me if you know anything different, it's on those tax lines. You pay one of those, is my understanding.
So then the question arises for the people that are in the North Creek Fire District, when are they going to see preliminary numbers?
We don't typically see theirs till the end of October. Their budget has to be presented. They have to do their public hearing. They do all of that the same as we do our budget. And then it's presented to us and it has to be part of the final budget that's brought to Warren County.
Has to be on the cover sheet, because for whatever
Yes.
reason, their money has to pass through us. I've never understood that, but we have no say in whatever
They pass.
Is it possible for the North Creek Fire District to come and present here at the town board so that the townspeople have another avenue of getting that information?
That would be
You have to
a
ask.
chief question or their secretary treasurer question.
I think that's an important thing to have for our community.
Yep. I would have to invite them to come to, yes, correct. Yep. Anyone else? Paul, any comments on?
Yeah, seeing it from both sides, being the fire company guy here, things have gone up crazy. Every bit of this increase was justified to us by the members of the company. I went there as a board member, not as a fire company member, and it was very easy to see why they were asking for a large bump. We helped EMS last time, and this is kind of turned, I feel that the fire companies, if we don't, we're going to be getting far enough behind that it's going to become difficult to catch back up. And even this, it's at the point where, if you look at the cost of things, to outfit just one firefighter, which you have to have them completely outfitted before they can even train, the cost is over $6,000.
Yeah, closer to 8 or 9 at this point.
Mhm,
So,
right,
right.
Yeah.
And how long, and the turnout year is not
Finite, 10-year.
10 years?
10 years.
10 year,
Yeah,
yeah.
10
I
years.
mean, you can use it for, other than interior firefighting.
yes,
but
it's-
Interior firefighting, it's got a 10-year
Right.
life.
And you can't use anything that's not in compliance for any training anymore either. They've mandated that even our old gear can't be used for any type of training.
When we met with the chiefs, one of the things that stood out to me was that Kevin, I'm not going to remember Kevin's last name from Riverside. Thank you.
So, yep.
And he, I guess, New York State is basically, depending on when they want to, showing up at different fire companies, taking a look at their equipment. And if their equipment isn't up to standard, they're giving them 48 hours or 72 hours to do what they need to do to get it up to date. And my biggest fear is that, and again, granted, we are in the hinterlands, but it doesn't mean the New York State couldn't show up and just walk through Garnet Lake, walk through North River, walk through whatever fire department there is and say, you know what, guys, your equipment's not up to standard. And that is a concern. And I don't know that they would have there are a couple of fire companies that might have financial wherewithal to be able to do that in 48 to 72 hours. But there are a few that do not.
It was recent that they just did one in North Queensbury.
Yep.
South Queensbury, they were
That's-
down that way doing.
Yep, correct.
So, yeah, and they're huge companies. And their equipment is way more
Advanced
up-to-date
and up to date.
than
Yep.
we have up here.
I'd like to point out that I know the North Creek Fire District, roughly it is $1 per assessed thousand on a home. Just for comparison's sake, the EMS budget from taxes is about 431, and I know that that's well less than $1 per assessed thousand. So this at 300 or 337,000 is substantially lower than the North Creek Fire District. So my question then becomes, what are we going to do about the unequal fire protection within our town?
District is based so much differently than a fire protection. A district actually has a board of commissioners. They have the LoSAP program, which can give their, excuse me, their members a retirement from that specific thing. So a district is just made up differently than the fire protection. So their tax base is whatever they're choosing to do. And I certainly don't want to speak for North Creek. I would prefer to have someone
Yeah.
from North Creek certainly correct me, but the district is just so much different than just a fire protection department.
Yeah, I would just hate to think that a home out in Garnet Lake has less fire protection from the services paid than a home in the North Creek Fire District. So I think as a board, we need to start to strive to get those two at or near equal.
Well, I don't, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't think that a house out in Garnet Lake is going to get less fire protection than one in North Creek, because one, there is mutual aid that happens when a fire goes off. So,
Boom.
right,
Yep.
everybody comes together to help. So I think that's, would not be a totally true statement. And I do agree that it's not a matter of us just giving tax increases to the fire departments every year. I think we need to think beyond that and think creatively, about what we can do. And I think it goes beyond what we can do as a small town, 100%. There are programs out there that we need to look at, and aid that we need to look at, that is at the state level, that is at the county level, because it is far beyond what we can do as a small town, 100%.
One thing with, Fred will back me up on this, we get a call for a structure fire on Garnet Lake, I'm headed down to the firehouse. I'm gonna be calling for second alarm, and North Creek is gonna get notified. We have North Creek's resources on speed dial, so to speak. We have access to all of their resources without any question. It's never been a problem. So really that is, and that's the same with every one of these companies. When there's a fire, a large fire, there's never one company involved, which it has to be because limited people. We don't have the resources in people or the money for the equipment. If we do it smart and spread it out so that we're using our money wisely in the town, we can cover things pretty well, especially having the hub with North Creek able to respond with equipment we may or may not have.
Right, my concern, and I understand the mutual, mutual calls. If one of our remote fire companies doesn't have the proper gear to go into a structure fire and has to wait for a North Creek Fire Company to come because they've got a larger budget to be able to afford that gear, that's where we don't have equal protection amongst our town. So that's why I think it's important for us to work to assure, maybe not equal in dollar figure, but equal in equipment and
And
safety.
preparedness,
Mhm,
yep.
Absolutely.
I don't know where my comments would fall in this discussion, but part of what we're talking about is budget, financial. The other part of it is actual manpower that you have available. Each one of the smaller districts, they may not have all the manpower that they would like to have because they're just a limited number of volunteers. North Creek, on the other hand, does have a significantly larger pool to pull from. And that is in effect something that can back up any of the smaller districts. So I don't know if that adds or takes away anything from your concerns or your discussion, but I think that manpower is another thing to take into account.
Sure.
And I do think when you look at the comprehensive plan, that is one of the goals in there of how we can support our emergency services. And one of the things that was talked about, not just at the town level, but at the county level, is ways to encourage volunteers. Because and you guys can speak to this better than I can, the cost of training, the time of training. I know my brother-in-law wanted to go back and do training, but the time alone was impossible with his schedule. So even at the county level, talking about incentives that they can offer to people to help them encourage to volunteer. So if that's at the county level with their comprehensive plan, and it's something that we're talking about as a town, there may be some programs, there may be some conversations that we can have to think about what we can do to incentivize young people or even older people to volunteer, whatever that may look like.
To that
Because,
end, go ahead.
no,
To that end, for example, Lake George considers their fire and EMS people non-paid town employees, and they get retirement based on points for the time that they got in, and they also can get benefits too. That's one thing, but again, the cost of that is going to be
Well,
significant.
that's, North Creek does that. They have what they call the LoSAP program, and it's very financially taxing for a much smaller department. So that's not something that we could offer on our end, but
The town,
looking into that, absolutely. And I know that most of the training, not most, the training is offered through the state and Warren County, and most of those are free of charge, providing they have enough people to fill the classes. And the problem we're running into now is we try the recruitment and retention, and it's difficult to do that because a lot of people don't want to work for a living, let alone do something for nothing. So it's frustrating from a volunteer basis as well. So just trying to get people to come and do the training, and it is very lengthy. What used to be firefighter 1 is 200 and something hours. Now it's a 3-module program. So yeah, it is very time intensive as well. So it's just trying to find the people that want to do that. It's frustrating.
that also, our town being aging, we don't have younger people to step up and do that too. That's part of the problem, and why, one of the reasons we need to encourage youth and growth in our town
So
towards
yeah,
that.
there needs to be some incentives for people to want to volunteer.
Right.
But the whole point of volunteering is volunteering, you're not getting paid for it. So the incentives need to be, I don't know, maybe paid time off from training, for training from your job. There's lots of stuff that we can come up with.
Any other conversations or thoughts on this? You good?
I'm good.
Jim, anything else? Okay. Okay, on to EMS. This is a 2% jump from last year.
I think it's more than 2%, Kevin. I think it's
Um,
closer to 5%. It's a 2% increase in real property taxes and a 3% increase in billing receipts on the revenue side
Whoever's revenue
for a
side.
total of 5% on the budget. That's correct, Joe?
So 2 on tax, 2.8, 2.9 on billing.
And Joe, how does that billing forecast compare to, I know this year isn't done, but even last year's billing and where we are this year on billing? Yep.
This year is much more of an average year. It's, the numbers, the whole line of the numbers of revenue are quite a bit like 2 years ago, but we're up about 20,000. And I think some of that has to do with the increase in the rates, which you guys approved last year. And the other is just the mix of things. But what we're really glad is that we haven't raised the billing forecast in 3 or 4 years. And the goal of that was to create a reserve.
Cushion.
Positive balance. So the bad news is they don't all go like last year. Sometimes they drop. We had a drop 4 years, 3 years. So we now feel pretty confident, not only that we have the reserve, but that the billing numbers are coming in favorable. And good for next year for that increase to the 374, I think, from the 362.
Yep.
And not only that, but maybe next year, maybe we don't have to do the 2%. Maybe that billing revenue is good enough at the end of this year. We're looking at being able to give our members a raise without the tax increase.
And Janae, how much is in the reserve? About 100,000.
I know it was
Okay.
close to 6 figures.
Okay.
Yep.
So even if we fall flat,
We'll still,
we're
we have
still
we have a
covered
cushion.
and it's not
Yeah.
gonna cost. us. Yep, perfect,
Without a loan and
perfect.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. On to sewer. Do you want to comment on this or no? Do you want to speak? Because this is one of those weird.
This is kind of like playing sewer darts.
Oh, it is. It is.
And the bottom line is the majority of these numbers came from, the engineering firm. I do have 3 changes though that I need to ask you to make. Unfortunately, Ryan didn't get back to me before I had to turn this over to Gene. So the $35,000 treatment system, and 2,000 for fog removal should be under the collection. So no dollar amounts are changing, but electrical and lab testing need to go down for treatment, and fog removal needs to come up for collection.
I do not see,
I don't see any,
I don't see any of those.
any of this at all. That's why I've got personnel services, contractual expenses, collecting at 5,000.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's why you had me confused.
So I'm looking at the actual breakdown, so under sewage collection system, which is SS 8120.4, 37,000 is going to go down into sewage treatment and disposal, and 2,000 is gonna come up, so it's gonna be really 33,000 is gonna go down. Sorry, I'm looking at the breakout. So 33,000 is gonna go from the collecting system to the treatment system. Based on the information.
Was there another, you mentioned something else too, Danae, then
Well, because this is in the fine detail, it's just 2,000 was coming up and 35,000 and 2,500 is going down. So since you're not looking at the detail, 35,500 is gonna go into the treatment system from collection.
okay.
But there's no change to the dollar.
No, change the dollar amount, it's just, it's
yeah.
moving a little bit of money around. Okay.
So where in here is to pay someone to,
I believe is that contractual?
is that contractual?
That's contractual,
Yep.
45, yep.
Are we putting out for that? Are we advertising for that? Is that going to be,
We'll probably put it out to bid. It's something we need to discuss as a board. Cedarwood has given us these numbers. The startup of the system needs and is paid for through the bond and grant as part of construction. So the thought and the idea is that Cedarwood Environmental would be hired to run the plant in the first year, and then in the second year, we can go out to bid. Because they're still gonna be constructing, there's still gonna be startup, so some of that money for startup can come out of, I think, the Northern Borders grant, potentially. So it wouldn't be advertising and hiring an operator the first year.
and they think 45,000, like for how many, is it full-time?
I would imagine it's gonna be, yeah. Which is a lot of money, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
the same thing. It's a little nerve-wracking, candidly.
Cedarwood's number was 38,000 for the operation, and the other 7 was just miscellaneous.
Jeez.
For
I
a
don't-
full-time,
I don't-
for a full-time job to manage the
Plant?
plant?
That was their contractual number.
That's for Cedarwood though, that's not, if we were to put it out to bid, that's not a number we would use, right?
So if we put out to bid, it could be more, probably a lot more. if we put it-
I'm not sure we can, and Jim can better speak to this, I'm not sure we can put it out to bid as it's all tied into.
So the first year,
For the
First year, we don't, I don't know that we have a lot of options.
so this is baked in for the first year,
Right,
but then the second year, we need to,
right.
but I'm just saying, thinking ahead, we need to
Mhm.
be,
If we
Yeah.
may need to clarify, this may be a number that they gave us that's above and beyond what they already have written into the grant, so the total, I don't have that information, but I'm, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's a possibility, since part of it's being covered under the grant, that this is what they expect
my understanding, yes.
So it would be partially grant funded?
The startup would be,
Okay,
yeah.
all
The
right.
problem is startup is gonna be a long drawn out
Yeah,
process.
no, I know.
So we'll have it started up in January, February, when the plan is operational. We'll hook up the nursing home, we'll hook up Orta, we'll hook up Front Street, Highway Garage. So we'll have some users, but as more users get tied in over next summer in increase in flows, you have to activate more of the systems along the way to accommodate that. So they'll be involved in the startup, and at that point, it just makes sense to have them there for the operation as well.
Got it. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
What's not shown is revenue to pay for it.
Right?
So
So this is built backwards, so the revenue was just plugged in to equal the expenses.
Yep.
That's not-
So at some point, I know that the rules and regulations are with the lawyers still.
They
We'll
are.
need to get those back. We'll need to adopt those. And then we'll have to go and adopt rates before the beginning of the year.
Yep.
So we can plug in the revenue numbers.
Anything else? Okay, on to water. Where is?
With water. Good.
Any thoughts or questions?
Just that, just so everybody knows and is aware, if you compare the 2025 to the 2026, there's a dramatic increase in the water budget. And that is, again, we have the principal on the EFC loan, principal of 55,000 that we haven't had to pay in the past, and we've got interest of 51,000 that we haven't had to pay in the past. So 106,000 of the water increase is because of the loan that was taken out for the improvements on South Main Street. Yep.
So that's the total interest is 106?
Principal and interest.
Yeah.
Principal and
Yeah.
interest. Where is that? That's built into the 106? Is that what you're saying? The administrative fee is built into that or? Okay.
$3 million, I believe.
Yeah. That sounds about $3 million. So was a WIA, is that what the, WIA grant? In talking with both Jonathan and Brian, I guess the old water tower was pretty much falling apart. Believe me, guys, I'm not anywhere near happy about this. It's kind of scary. by the same token, I also will say that, I can't remember what point this year, but I think, the town of Whitehall was on a boil water alert for like 8 weeks. It's so, it's not optimum, but I don't know what other options we've got. I've actually looked and talked to a few people about what other grant opportunities are out there, but we is it.
Is this a, what's the anticipated cost increase for next year, 2027?
Danae will have those numbers. This was something that was started by previous administrations. So the bond initially, the $3 million bond, and then the conversion just recently into a long-term payment was all set up 3-4 years ago.
Well, there was a $3 million, if we did the whole project, which was like 5.5 million, there's a $3 million grant that we received. And then the rest is loan. But it's only 3 million or 60% of how much we spent. So if we didn't do the whole project, we didn't get the whole 3 million, it got broken out.
So this has some out here cost in paying down the principal. The principal amount you have out here, 27, 28.
I did not bring this for you, I mean, I think it's 20 years, 25 years.
So is this an amount that's going to be paid every year then?
Yes.
For the next 2 years?
The tank that's up behind the restaurant that closed up.
Yes.
St. Peter's.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that was in terrible shape.
So that's a pretty hefty interest. Pay out a year to
We can probably take that out and look. Can we take that out and look and shop it? Do you know, Danae, is that possible? I would imagine. I mean, I can't imagine why we can't.
I mean, I don't see why, I mean, I think we have to pay it as it stands currently, but like, once the project is finished and closed out, if you wanted to try to reshop it and pay it off, we just have to look at your bond agreement to see if there was any, or to look at the agreement, to see if there's any penalty for paying early. If you want to bond it from somebody else.
Yeah, I know, thought. Mm-hmm. It is. Any other questions or thoughts on this, on water?
Just that it's going to be borne mostly by debt service connection fees and, user fees. So if you look at the revenue side of thing, debt service connection fees, we see an increase in the connection fees from 12,000 to 112,000. So that's what we'll be voting on later today, the increase in connection fees. My well waters taste great.
All right. Ms. Bowers, any thoughts or questions?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. So I think that brings us to the end, other than the library and the equipment. All right, it is 6:35.
So question,
Yep.
so are you going back to, do you have any changes for any of the other funds, if you want to make any changes in any of the funds that you talked about, like Stefan talking about? Is there anything you want to shift back to the previous?
I think any of the changes you made, correct? I mean, that was, Right, right. not that I'm aware of, no.
No.
The only question we've got is the 7,000 for equipment for the library. That was it. Because we don't have the documentation for it. That was just a question as to what the equipment purchase. It's only $7,000, but all the same was just a question as to what it's being used for, that's all.
I don't
Let's see. Pardon?
Oh, nothing.
Okay, all right. I think this allows us to move on to the Tannery Pond presentation. Yeah, I know.
Just want to make sure.
It's just a
Yeah,
workshop.
we're gonna have to, yeah, I know. All right, thank you for the reminder.
Is this working okay?
Contract requires us to meet twice a year. I mean that early in the year to use Tannery twice a year.
I wanted to invite the board and our supervisor to sit out here if you'd like, because we
Yeah.
do have a presentation on the screen.
Yeah, I know. Hang on.
Good evening. I'm Miriam Deutsch. I'm president of the Tannery Pond Center Board of Trustees. On behalf of the board members and staff at Tannery Pond, I want to express our appreciation and gratitude for our ongoing partnership with the town of Johnsburg. The town of Johnsburg and Tannery Pond Center operate under a cooperative lease with annual payments that supports the upkeep of the community center and allows building space use by the town, local organizations, as well as residents. The lease requires that Tannery Pond give an annual report to the town, and we are here today to do this publicly so that the community has the opportunity to see the benefits TPC offers to the town of Johnsburg. This partnership helps to ensure that we have a vital community center, thriving, providing many art, educational, cultural programs with opportunities for community gatherings and a welcoming visitor center. TPC also serves as an economic engine for our town. Contributing to the economic vitality of the town is actually one of TPC's goals. Tannery Pond is proud to contribute to many of the town of Johnsburg's comprehensive plan goals by improving and enhancing one of Johnsburg's recreational and cultural assets, expanding and enhancing the four-season economy. As many of you know, Tannery Pond has programs 12 months out of the year. Harnessing the benefits of the recreation, arts, culture, and tourism economies, and promoting the establishment of a North Creek Arts and Cultural District, as well as attracting and retaining residents. I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly thank the TPC board members who volunteer countless hours to serve on the TPC board, but also serve on multiple committees that provide those programs 12 months out of the year. These committees, events, finance, fundraising, gallery, grants, programming, and marketing, ensure that we have a dynamic community center. I'm really so proud of all that they do. And I want to give a big thank you to our exceptional executive director, Candace Murray. We are indeed fortunate to have her at the helm. And I see others in the audience here that also volunteer on the gallery committee, the finance, and we are really so grateful for them because they make this place work. So now Mindy Preninger will provide you with more details about TPC's accomplishments. Thank you.
So Johnsburg is a place where nature really does take center stage. with world-class hiking, biking, rafting, and skiing, all those opportunities, it's really no surprise that our lives in tourism are really grounded in outdoor adventure. But what makes our town truly special is that it doesn't stop at just the scenic. Our history of mining, logging, and trapping reflect a rugged and resilient spirit, one that continues to shape the character of our community today. Amid the rugged and adventurous landscape, the arts have quietly but powerfully taken root. The Adirondack Mountains have long inspired painters, writers, musicians, and storytellers with their raw beauty and timeless calm. The Midland Gallery at Tannery Pond pays tribute to that creative energy. It offers a space where local and regional artists can display their interpretations of our natural and cultural history through their own unique lens. It's very special that the continually rotating exhibits are always free and open to the public, something that the board at Tannery Pond is dedicated to, really preserving that. The impact of the arts extends beyond the gallery walls because Tannery Pond is first and foremost a community center, a place of gathering where theater productions, music performances, educational presentations, and community events foster connection and creativity for residents of all ages. It's where a child might attend their first play. A hiker might discover a local artist that they didn't know about, or a visitor might hear a history talk that inspires them to further explore our town. In a town that thrives and relies on attracting the outdoor enthusiasts to visit our local businesses when they come off the trails or the river, the arts offer a moment of pause and a balance for the adventurer. Supporting the arts in Johnsburg is not about replacing the assets of our outdoors. It's about complementing and enriching those experiences. It's about inviting interaction with our visitors, telling our stories in new ways, and ensuring that everyone, resident or visitor, feels the full sense of community that makes Johnsburg extraordinary.
I'm Candace Murray. I'm the executive director here, and thank you for being here and for listening to our presentation. I'm just going to review a few items that are accomplishments from 2024. We also have our annual report, and I'm happy to provide to anyone who might need. It has a lot of the stuff that you see today's presentation, but if you want to take one home, you're welcome to. So last year in 2024, we had 10 exhibits with artist receptions, including our special exhibit for the Johnsburg Central School, where every student in the school had at least one item hung in our gallery space. We had 17 concerts that Tannery Pond hosted. In addition, we had 3 Siegel performances, 2 Gem Radio plays, 2 OTTG performances, 2 North Country Singer concerts, 1 ALCA, which is the Adirondack Lakes Center for the Arts Performance, and the Glens Falls Symphony was also here last year. We offer many free events. Some of those are kids' art programs that are offered weekly at the North Creek Farmers Market and quarterly here at Tannery Pond. We had 3 kids' movies, a Skylab that comes here, and it was an inflatable thing, and the kids could get inside and see the sky, the night sky. Ice cream social we do every year in June. Our community day in September. Trick-or-treating is always at Tannery Pond, and we give away 28 free tickets for every performance through our library program and the ACOC program, and one other, the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. So each of those 5 libraries, the ACOC and Big Brothers Big Sisters, they each get 4 adult tickets, and youth are always free for our programs. Events, we had 2 American Red Cross blood drives, 3 adult game nights, several workshops. We hosted the Warren Miller film. We hosted 10 events as part of the first snow train celebration that we had last winter. And then we had a special series of events last summer. It was a special initiative. It was our Indigenous Festival. We held that for 8 weeks and had 14 events within that timeframe, along with a gallery exhibit and over 1,200 attendees at all of those Indigenous events. For building usage, you can see that Tannery Pond uses the building 39% of the time. The community uses the building 17% of the time. The town of Johnsburg and its committees uses the building 16% of the time. and other organizations, not just arts organizations, but other organizations and nonprofits that use our building is 28% of the time. So you can see the building is widely used and not just by Tannery Pond ourselves. Building improvements, we're very proud to partner with Town Johnsburg and especially Pete Olszewski for all of his support. And while this is a 2024 report, I'm also just going to highlight some things we've done already this year because it's very exciting. So in 2024, we repaired and replaced some interior and exterior doors. We didn't replace exterior doors, we fixed them, we repaired them. The carpets were cleaned in November of last year. In 2025 thus far, you can see the exterior of our building looks amazing because it was power washed and painted the first time in I think 24 years, so it looks great on the outside. The HVAC units have been repaired and they're working better than they have been, and we're still working with our vendor who's trying to fine tune the system. So I know sometimes it's too hot, sometimes it's too cold, but we're working on making it better. And then we're very fortunate. We received a $78,000 grant to repair some of the concrete expenditures that are the town's responsibility. So hopefully this is a huge boost to be able to fix these things that you do not have to fix. And we are just waiting for the final approval, and likely those repairs will happen in 2026. So we haven't received the money yet, but there's a huge long contracting process through the state of New York, and we're in the middle of that process. It's very lengthy. And Tannery Pond continues to seek grant funding for other capital repairs and projects. That was a promise that we made before we signed the lease. We said, if we are able to sign this lease, we will seek out as many capital grants as possible, many of which the town is not eligible for, but because we have the lease, we are eligible for it. And just to highlight that grant process for 1 second, Kevin has been superb in providing letters of support that are required for these applications so that we are able to submit the applications. We have a couple more pending and we'll have another one in January that we're going to apply for. So we are very busy looking for grants to support improvements to the building. And now I'd like to introduce Donna.
So in 2024, our grants totaled $44,049, and they came from 7 granting agencies you see up on the screen, including the town of Johnsburg through the OCTAX grant award. That constitutes 24% of our total expenditures for 2024. And the grants range from the smallest grant being $1,000 to the largest grant being $20,000. Primarily, our grants fund performances and events. Although Candace talked about the big grant and some of the other things we've gotten that fund capital improvements, but primarily, especially these smaller grants compared to 78,000 fund performances and enable us to give those 4 free tickets to each organization. So 28 free tickets for every performance or event that we sponsor. We continue to apply to numerous funding agencies, and I did some research. So the key to improving the chance of receiving grants, and Kelly Nessel can verify this with all the granting she's done for the town, that the success rate isn't phenomenal. It varies from about 52% for the applications to state agencies to 22% when you apply to corporate funders. So we send in a lot of grants, and each grant takes dozens and dozens and dozens of hours to write. And we have a fairly decent track record. Now, I said 44,000 that we got in 2024. 2025 or 26, depending on when that $78,000 grant comes through, is going to look very different. But the important thing about that $78,000 that we feel is that that's going to alleviate pressure on the town budget, and that means that we're actually saving taxpayers $78,000 worth of revenue if the town were to do those repairs, those capital repairs on their own. So we're very proud of that, to be giving back to the town in that way. Oh, I could have done that. Okay, next is fundraising. I'm in all the exciting things in Tannery Pond. Yeah, in 2024, we had over 200 donors. And probably most of you sitting in this audience are part of that group. We can't believe the support that we've gotten from the town, from the people in the community, from our patrons who are part-time owners here or who just visit here regularly, but they come from the region. And we've had people send in donations, people who are from Florida and Dakota, and we have just fabulous support. Our donations in 2024 totaled almost $107,000, and that makes up 58% of our total expenditures. Our donations range from $10 to $25,000, and we value every penny that we get. Every penny counts. We'll talk a little bit about the types of fundraising we do. We have large and small events. The murder mystery that we had this spring was a fundraising event. It was a large event, took a tremendous amount of our time to plan. The chili cook-off, if you went to the outdoor show, the chili cook-off was a smaller one, but a fundraiser. The ski movies are fundraisers. These do not include the free community events such as the outdoor show or the ice cream social. We make no money on that. We give that to the community. We also send out appeal letters, emails, social media, and personal contacts. And I can't say again how gratifying it is, the response we're getting. The money that we receive from grant funding and fundraising, in combination with the money that the town gives us each year in the town budget, those three resources continue to keep us financially stable, and we appreciate it dramatically. Sorry. No one else did that. Need a rug here.
Okay, careful when you
Sure.
step over.
Okay.
I'm pleased to report that revenue support, Tannery Pond's programs and operations has increased steadily since 2021. In 2023, TPC received a large donation from an individual donor that was used as a challenge grant and generated more donations. In 2024, TPC received its first lease agreed annual payment from the town of Johnsburg. Our traditional sources were grants, individual donations, programming revenue, interest from an endowment fund. New revenue sources have been added, such as building usage income and interest from a savings account. As Tannery Pond realized its mission of expanded programming and more financial responsibility, its expenses grew. Despite this, revenues were greater than expenses, giving Tannery Pond financial stability to continue its growth. In summary, Tannery Pond has grown over 4 years. Its revenues have consistently been greater than its expenses. All told, this is a picture of financial stability and revenue growth through steady planning and capacity building that will form the basis for financial sustainability. TPC has been doing great, as Donna said, with fundraising and grants in recent years, reflecting the faith and confidence donors and granting agencies have in TPC, and we are forever grateful for their support. But this year, there's much more economic uncertainty and possible grant cutbacks, which could mean more challenges to funding. However, our net revenue will serve to help us survive decrease in funding opportunities, as well as a dedicated board and staff who are committed to continue to make Tannery Pond a thriving community center, even during difficult times. So now we would like to close our presentation with some images from past TPC events and exhibits, accompanied by Dan Bergren's song, Tannery Pond Reel. And I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you.
Is that button on there, Mindy? What happened? Hang on one sec. I don't hear. Can we play it out here and then put it on the online recording? Okay, take two. How do I play this? Yeah, but if he has that going on. Does it work if I play it from here? It won't play from here because it's going through you, right? All right. Well, we'll just show you our actual slides. And unfortunately, you won't hear this wonderful song that Dan
Play it on
posed.
your phone. Put it to the microphone. Just 1 second. We have another plan.
We did test this before things got rerouted here. Hang on one second.
Largest town, from North River to the Glen, Baker's Mills and Weavertown, from Garnet Lake to 13th, the Siamese Ponds to Gore. Where North Creek meets the Hudson, there's good people at the core, and folks dance together to an old-time reel. Like spokes come together to support the wheel, and the town turns around. At the center is common ground. We found common ground at Tannery Pond. Trains hauled garnet from the mines, carried summer residents, brought tourists who would ski or hunt, and a future president. Logs came down the river in the days of yesteryear. Today the rafts and kayaks ride white water, cold and clear, and folks dance together to an old-time reel. Like spokes come together to support the wheel, and the town turns around. At the center is common ground. We found common ground at Tannery Pond.
Thank you for listening, and we hope that we've shared a little bit about what we do. And we're certainly always interested in your ideas. There's a few folks here who've shared many of their ideas, and we're always looking for new ideas on programs and concerts and things that you might be interested in. So feel free to stop by and see me any day you would like. Thank you.
Yeah.
I will turn the lights on when I get up there.
We're good. Okay. Before we call this board meeting to order, some of you may be aware, maybe not, that Danae Tucker, yes, I am. I already did on it. Doesn't matter. Oh, it's fine. That's fine. The budget's over. Don't worry. Danae Tucker was offered and accepted the position of, is it bookkeeper at Bolton? Okay. And I just want to say thank you for all that she's done. This one on. A couple of comments, because I'm Irish and that's what I do. One, thank you for all of your insight and your help throughout the last almost 2 years. But more than anything else, thank you for your humor. Honest to God, you made it easy. At times, it's not my job, who knows, without a doubt. So this is from the board. Danae, thank you. Congratulations. Best of luck. You will be missed. All right. So calling the meeting to order. Need a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion?
Second?
Any questions? Seeing none, I call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Resolution to adopt the water rates. This has obviously been a work in progress. Thank you, Jim and Danae. Thank you.
No, that's a little one.
Okay. All right. All right. Any comments or questions regarding the new water rates?
So the school went up, so they doubled in the rates. I'm noticing right here, in the municipal. Did all of the rates double, or was that
The only rate changes that there are on the connection fees.
on the connection fees?
The other rates are the exact same that you adopted in February of this year.
February of this year, okay.
So for the operation side, I think we're good and hoping that we're good for a little bit of time.
Okay.
But March presentation from
Okay.
Sherwood when they presented phase one and phase two.
Okay.
These are just those rate increases.
Is it the, okay,
On the connection fee side,
okay.
so there was no change.
And can you remind, when are these, we're adopting them today, and then they're going into
This
effect?
is for the April billing next year.
April billing next year?
Connection fees are a pretty significant jump, and our thought was we could, if the rates were adopted, we could send out the next year's rates with people's receipts this fall,
Okay,
without doing, postage and extra mailing.
Okay.
Just be a heads up so that folks can be a bit better prepared.
okay.
Any other questions or thoughts?
I was gonna say, and just on the back, I know we did this, but it's been a while since February, so forgive me for it, but just the unspecified large commercial. Can you remind me what that, where you're applying that to? Is that just anything in general in the back?
I think, I know the lodge will the new lodge will basically be fall into that category. I'm not too sure what else will.
Potentially large shopping,
If we were to end up,
retail.
if we end up with a larger retail operation, yeah.
I would imagine a brewery,
Yeah.
or some sort that uses a large amount of water would fall under that. More than the retail categories.
Okay. And then just for communication, how are we getting this information out to everybody? I'm just thinking,
Once these rates are adopted, it will go up on the website.
they'll go up to the website, okay,
Because the billing is out now.
The bill-
The last billing for this year.
Okay.
Is already out, so we can put up those new rates, on the website. And again, our hope was that as people pay their bills, we could also include the rates for next year.
okay, so, okay.
Mind if I ask a question?
Not at all. Go ahead, Jim.
Being a new member to the water district, who would I talk to about how the water bill is configured? Should I talk to Cedarwood, or should I make an appointment with Ford, or what's the process?
It should have been in your, the application when you signed up. It would have been laid out what your MDUs would be.
Well, I have two bills here for two different properties, two different buildings.
Linda in the lodge.
And one says that it's figured out 20 water units. The other, there's no listing of any kind of units.
I believe it's a community center, maybe, in the garage.
Right, community center. But I don't want to take up time this evening, but I'd like to figure out a time when we could talk, about it, because like the laundromat uses very close to the same amount of water that we're projected to use as a water.
Sit down with, yep. Give me a holler. We'll sit down.
Very good,
All right.
thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay. Seeing no other comments or questions, call for a vote. Oh,
First or a second.
Yeah, we
Oh,
haven't- we
I'm
haven't-
sorry.
We haven't brought it yet.
sorry.
It's okay.
Bring it to the floor, please.
Motion?
Second.
Okay. Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next is resolution to contract with Code Red. This was a webinar that I sat in on with Danae, Joanne, not too sure whom else was on it. But basically, it's kind of a emergency services, so whether there's missing child, boil alert, evacuation, severe weather, that's basically what we're looking at. And it would basically, the town would share some of that cost, and we would also be, it would also be used by EMS as well. Need a motion to bring this to the floor, please?
Second?
Danae, thank you for getting this together.
Yeah. Yep. Any questions or concerns?
I guess my only question is who sends it out? Is it the individual, like the EMS would send it out and then whoever is who's ever in charge of the messaging?
So it's a dashboard type
Okay.
system. We can have as many administrators
Okay.
as we want. We can have as many different kind of groupings as we want. We can restrict permissions, so like, if EMS per se wanted to have, we really don't want sensitive personal information.
Sure.
in it, But like if there was, we could restrict if somebody was gonna use it and they didn't need to see the other lists that are in there. Like water will definitely be its own thing. As soon as we get it up and going, we will get all of the district users in there to the best of our ability. So in the event of a boil water, it can go out. It's got a mobile app, so I mean, I would assume myself and Joanne will both be, on the water side of things, but we could be anywhere. If we got a call that, or said, hey, there's boil water, you open your phone and it'll be a free, for water, it'll be a free report app. The only thing we would plug in is like the length of the duration of the boil water, and you can send it out from, if you get your phone from anywhere.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's cell phone, email, and home phone.
But it can be used from, like that's kind of like the concern was if we had boil water and someone got sick because they were not notified, we're liable. This also tracks, it tracks so that we can see, whether or not the messages were received. But it can be used for things as simple as, he can throw in all of his youth program kids in the summertime. We had a situation where the water line broke and he had to cancel a youth program at Steeple Park. That could then just one click, he could send a message out to all of the participants, hey, there's an emergency, program is canceled today. So we're looking to, because it's unlimited administrators, users, we're looking to use it for as many opportunities as we can.
Fantastic.
Okay, do we have a first and second here?
We do.
Okay. Any other questions or thoughts? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next is resolution replace the existing concrete steps, ramp, and cap at the Weavertown Community Center. Need a motion to bring this to the floor, please?
Motion?
Second?
Any thoughts, any questions?
Get it done.
Yep.
Get it done.
Yep.
Get it done. Did I get a first and a second?
Yep.
Okay, call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, next resolution to purchase a new truck for programs and public properties. Pete and I sat down, I think it was the end of last week. The green truck that's about 10 years old needs about $10,000 worth of work. Much of it is electronic. And my biggest worry is when you start messing with electronics on a vehicle, I'm not so sure that it's worth it. We've been able to move some money around so that really the budget doesn't change at all for programs and public properties. So this really will be a wash. We're moving stuff that the truck's moving into being purchased this year, programs, things that, projects that would have been done this year will be moved into the beginning next year. Pete, any other comments on that, or if I got it right? Okay. I need a motion. Oop, yes.
So just going back to that, in the budget workshop, I think there's a couple changes that need to be made to the general
Yes.
budget for next year, because, and I apologize for not having these laid out. And Pete has made it right now, he may have them, but I can, at a quick glance, in our tentative budget, between tentative and preliminary, buildings is gonna be changing, buildings contractual, parks equipment, so there's gonna be budget changes that are also affected.
Right, yes. Okay. Do I have a first and a second on this one?
No.
Okay, need a motion to bring this to the floor, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions or concerns?
Yeah, what's the delivery look like on this, Pete?
On the lot, I'm hoping to have a check tomorrow.
Okay,
At the moment, Paul, my department has one usable truck.
no, that's great. I was thinking because what we,
If we can move quick enough.
Oh, yeah.
Or somebody else drives it off the lot, then we are.
okay, good, very good.
Okay. No other comments? Call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Number 10, resolution authorizing purchase of new decorative holiday streetlights for Main Street using ARPA funds. I've said this to Pete on a bunch of different occasions. My first trip out west to ski in Colorado, Steamboat Springs just looked like Christmas, even in January, February, and March. I want this town to look like Christmas from the end of November until March. And this is one of the ways we'll be able to at least make it look, festive. I need a motion to bring this to the floor, please.
Motion?
Second?
Any other questions or concerns?
Pete, are you gonna be able to get the same kind of lights?
They're very similar.
Okay,
Yep, they're very similar. We're gonna be replacing some of the worst.
good,
of the existing lights.
good.
Good.
We have to do repairs every year to keep them going. Some of them are quite old at this point. But again, this was really a response to some public feedback that I've gotten over the past couple of winters, that eventually we'd like to extend them, not just through the business district from basically the train station to here, but also continue south towards the residential end of Main Street, all the way towards 28.
No, I think it's great. I think that's wonderful. I'm glad you're doing it.
No. Not to be a Grinch, but if we're gonna leave them up from November to March, can we not get Santa Claus so that we're not that neighbor that leaves their Christmas decorations up all year long? And do something that's more winter, appropriate?
So all of our
Snowflakes would be great, yeah.
All of our lights right now, Jim,
Yeah.
are a version of a snowflake. I believe the
Okay.
two that we have right now, one's called a mountain snowflake, and the other one is like a wilderness snowflake or something.
Okay.
We'll be sticking with a similar theme. They're all soft white lights. Again, this is something that the Lights On committee and some of our business owners have been asking for. Lori Arnheider's been after me to do this for a while, so we're gonna do it right.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, any other questions or thoughts? Seeing none, call for vote. Do we get first and second on this? We did? Gene, do we get first and second on this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, all right.
No,
No?
no.
All right, need a
Oh,
first.
I'm sorry. Yes, Councilwoman Bowers and Councilperson. Yes,
All right.
My bad.
All right, seeing no more conversation, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, resolution authorizing use of occupancy tax funds to stabilize, replace, the roof of the D&H Milk Cart, North Creek, train station. I was doing some reading on this. This is a pretty interesting piece of equipment that, has, 1904, 1905, is that?
Six to seven.
Somewhere between, I think, 04, 06.
I mean, I that's cool. The fact that we might be able to refurbish it, I think is kind of neat, given the fact that the Depot Museum is there, so.
Right.
Need a motion to bring this to the floor, please.
Move.
Second.
Okay, any other conversations or questions?
I think just for the audience so that they know that Pete wants to do this in phases.
Yep.
So there's phase 1, phase 2. And I love this idea of fixing this up and having it down there as a spot that could be for pop-up art vendors, lots of different options for it. And this is occupancy tax money that the board allocated to Pete to use for these kinds of projects. So I'm excited that this is happening. I think it's going to be great. And I love the idea of something else down there that we can use for art projects, different things. It feeds into what the Tannery Pond Center is doing with having one anchor down here and another anchor down there for this idea of an arts district. So I think it's awesome. It feeds into all of that good stuff.
All right.
It
Yeah,
is,
yeah, it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah, yeah,
on-
yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Yep, yeah. Yeah, it's seen better days. It needs help.
But it sits on the track.
Yeah.
No.
No,
It is not currently on the tracks, Kelly. It's right at the north end of the building, up against the end of
Okay,
rev rail part of the building.
okay.
The hope is that once it's rehab, it will actually get moved out to the turntable, which is another, in my opinion, is another piece of history and a very, very cool piece that we can showcase once this car is ready to go. Should be showcased.
Who owns the park?
The town of
Town,
Johnsburg
yeah.
We do.
It is on a 25-year, or will be once it's rehab, will be on a 25-year lease to the Depot Museum for exhibits.
Thank you.
okay. I'm sorry, I'm losing track here. Is it, we got a first and a
Yeah.
second? All right.
We do.
Any other questions or comments on the rehab of the milk cart? Seeing none, call for vote. All those in favor? Aye. Resolution appropriate grant funds for senior day. I'm missing something here.
Motion to bring to the floor.
Motion to bring it to the floor.
Second.
Right. Missed. Okay. Any questions or thoughts on this one?
Should be pointed out that this is just an appropriation that, this is a housekeeping issue.
Yeah.
It's something that we should have done earlier in the year, and it just slipped through the cracks on me, so. The day was held, it was successful, the money was used, it's just a matter of making sure the bookkeeping is correct.
Thanks, Pete.
Okay, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution to amend resolution 186-25, general fund loan to $100,000 to water district capital project. Water district must be reimbursed. It has been decided that 7% for a total of $7,149.24 will be paid to the general fund to account HP 2401 interest earnings. So this is an amendment. I need a resolution to bring this to the floor, please.
Motion.
Second.
Any other comments or questions?
Bookkeeping.
Hmm?
Bookkeeping.
Yep. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, resolution to accept the 284 agreement from the Highway Department. I need a motion to bring this to the floor, please.
Motion.
Okay,
Second, then.
yep, commentary.
Yeah, I worked with Fred over the last month and a half or so. In the past, 284 agreement has usually been done in the January of the beginning of the year. 284 agreement needs to be done actually by September 30th. So we missed it by a little because of some changes that we made. In the past, it was more generic. This is much more detailed. I thank Fred for taking the time to do that. But this is the agreement with the highway department that needs to be made with the town and the council people, and broken down into each part of the 284 agreement. So next year, general repairs, Ski Bowl Road, the south end, width of travel surface is 24 feet. So that was a little bit wider than has been in the past. It'll give us a large shoulder that could be used for making sure it's plowed and also potentially parking. Ski Bowl North End, width of surface 25 feet, up to the highway entrance. Not knowing what's going to happen with parcel B, we had no interest in paving all the way to the lodge, and a road that could be turned over. So we'll go short of that, go to the highway garage. There's Hartner Road, there's Riverside Station. Those are 18 foot of travel and 21 wide travel. Then there is the sand pit reclamation. Highway Department will assist the Director of Public Properties and Programs in the reclamation of the town-owned sand pit. And also then various culverts, the town of Johnsburg. We don't have the budget information from that, but if you look at the totals, permanent road improvements in the highway budget, we come with this 284 agreement to 439,000. Each road is broken down into what's being used with a 15% contingency should prices change. The rest of that money is then culverts and, other pieces of equipment. So I thank Fred for the work on this. This makes it very clear to everybody where our highway funds are going, and just a good job all around.
Okay. We have a first and a second, correct? Okay.
Thank you, Fred.
Yeah,
Good work
thanks.
on this.
Thank you. Any other questions or thoughts? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Next is authorizing rehiring of Ken Mulvey, who went to work for the Bolton School District Bus Garage, transportation supervisor, and found that the number 10 in his contract was far longer than the first 9. So he wants to come back. And as a fabricator, and from what I gather, a very good employee. Okay, I need a motion to bring this to the floor, please.
You have.
Second.
Any other discussion or concerns?
I think it's important to point out that he'll be returning at the previous rate of pay. The town will recognize his original hire date for the purpose of future benefits. Though when he did leave sick time and vacation time that won't be returned, but we'll return him to the same pay rate.
Okay. All right, any other questions or thoughts? Seeing none, call for vote. All those in favor? Aye. Resolution 30-day waiver for Hudson Hollow Hops. And this is for them taking over,
Yes, I believe there's gonna be some renovations at the Loom in Chestertown.
Right.
And George Standard, the owner of Hudson Hollow Hops / the Loom, DBA the Loom, will be stationed at the old Basil's for 3 to 4 months. And while he has a liquor license for over there, and Jane, I believe, still has her liquor license for here, the state is requiring him to get a new one. So he can get up and running. He wanted us to do the 30-day waiver if possible.
okay,
And for those who don't know, the Loon is the old OP Fredericks.
Fredericks, yep,
So
okay.
that'll be a great short-term addition to
Yep.
town.
Need a motion to bring this to the floor, please.
Second.
Okay, call for a vote. Do we need roll call? Yes. Roll call?
Councilperson Hyde,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bowers,
Yes.
Supervisor Green,
Yes.
Councilperson Williams.
Yep.
And Councilperson Stevens.
Yes.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay.
Happy to have a restaurant.
Yes, we
And
are.
let's-
Okay, next on the agenda is board discussion on senior exemption person with disabilities. I was on the phone with one of our attorneys today. They are in the process of putting together a local law for both the senior exemption and persons with disabilities. My guess is we ought to have it to review by sometime next week and hopefully have it in place. We have to have a public hearing And then it ought to be in place sometime in November. Anything else that anybody, any questions about this?
I'm glad it's happening.
Same here.
So again, there's options that the town needs to take. Do we have any idea what the law that is being written?
I know that after talking with them, they're gonna basically put their, I took a look at the way the Queensberry seniors exemption has been drafted, and that's basically what I had asked them to take a look at it. It's be a sliding scale, dependent on income.
So just for clarity, there's a 50% exemption.
Right.
That the law allows each county, town, city, village to set as a maximum income limit, right? So we're gonna set ours not at 3,000, but we're gonna set ours at 50,000, the maximum the state allows.
Mhm.
Then there is a sliding scale, contrary to Tom Randall's article, there is a sliding scale of a 20% exemption for those earning 55,700, 10% exemption, those earning 57,500, and a 5% exemption for those earning 58,400. So have we as a board,
No, not until I want to get all that data, that'll basically be handed off and we can weigh in on it at that point. But it will be a sliding scale, yes.
so we are going to institute a sliding scale.
Yes, that's what I would like to do. I think that makes the most sense.
So I think we need to have that conversation before we
Okay.
write the law. I'm all for a $50,000 state maximum. And I would say that we write the law in such a way that our law matches the state's maximum income limit so that we don't have to change it every time the state does.
No, that was basically what I asked
Okay.
Jackie to do.
So the other part that we have to keep in mind, if we go to a sliding scale, these are income limits that are set by the state for the entire state. So in Orange County or in Rockland County, the maximum income limit is 50,000. So it's important to realize that our seniors, because our economics are different here, our seniors are getting a much larger break per se than someone in Rockland County, right? So going with a sliding scale just inflates that even more. And I think we need to think about that and discuss that.
Okay.
So this is, for us to go to 50,000 on a statewide income limit in our community is huge, right? And I want to caution that we go any further than that. The other things that we can weigh in on are how income is determined, right? So again, federal adjusted gross income is as reported on your income tax returns. If we go just off of the federal adjusted gross, then I think that without giving any income breaks serves our population. I mean, we could almost give every person over 65 a huge break on their property taxes. If we take Social Security benefits and opt not to include those, then someone's income minus their Social Security benefits, that takes that 50,000 and bumps it up dramatically, right? We could determine whether distributions from an individual retirement account count or are exempt. So we could take someone's retirement account money and say, nah, that doesn't count as your income. We could take their Social Security and say, no, that doesn't count as your income. Well, what else are they getting income from? Right? So we need to be smart and thoughtful about how we do this. I would recommend that we just go off of their federal adjusted gross income and don't make any of these other income adjustments that we could make. Again, I think this is designed for more downstate, where, you know, property taxes are hard to believe, people, but much, much higher than they are here. And again, they're still getting Social Security at the same amount that we might be getting here. So
Okay.
I think
point.
it's great. I think we need to do it. I also agree that we need to include persons with disabilities. And I say that we max out those as well. So those are my thoughts.
I thought we were gonna
Seniors
have, the-
Committee.
oh, great, I was gonna say, I thought the senior committee was gonna have a report to share with us, so
Yeah,
I'm glad you, yes,
um,
great.
Our Town of Johnsburg Seniors Committee had a meeting on October 1st. And from that meeting, was generated a letter to the recommendation to the board. The Seniors Committee recommends that exemptions to the property tax for seniors and persons with disability be approved by the town board. We recommend that the town board follow the requirements under the state law and regulations. State law permits senior citizens and disability exemptions. Local governments and school districts in New York State can opt to grant a reduction in the amount of property taxes paid by qualifying senior citizens and persons with disabilities. This is accomplished by reducing the taxable assessment of the seniors or disabled person's home by as much as 50%. To qualify, seniors generally must be 65 years of age or older and meet certain income limitations and other requirements. For the 50% exemption, the law allows each county, city, town, village, or school district to set the maximum income limit at any figure between $3,000 and $50,000. To qualify, persons with disabilities must have a physical or mental impairment not due to current use of alcohol or illegal drugs that substantially limits your ability to engage in one or more major life activities following the state law. The committee recommends that the town board use a set of tiers from 5% exemption for the maximum income of $50,000 down to $40,000 for a 50% exemption.
Okay. When I get the law, it'll be distributed and then we can take it from there.
Perfect.
All right. Next up is warrants. Need a motion to bring warrants to the floor, please.
Motion, second?
Is there anything in there that you saw that? Because I went through it. Nope. Okay. Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Committee reports.
As far as solid waste, I spoke with Pete yesterday, and as the saying goes, we didn't need a meeting. We didn't have adequate people for it or much to discuss at this point. So we postponed it till the next regular, what's that?
Judy was there.
Yeah, no,
Judy came.
He's gonna call me if you showed for it too, so. But I didn't say we didn't have enough, or anybody, I said we didn't have enough. But anyhow, as Pete has said, things are doing really well with the solid waste as far as our transfer station. We're doing well financially. It's now not so much as a burden on our entire town, just the users pay their fair share. That works out much better that way financially for everyone and bottom line, especially the commercial users. That's helping considerably. If you want to add anything to it, Pete, feel free.
Yeah, things are going well. We've done some minor improvements. We got those shipping containers that we've been waiting for a while. We now have tire storage out of the elements, keep things more organized. Scrap metal's doing well. We sent the load today. We're approaching $3,000 revenue for the year, which is about double what we had last year already. So things are going well. We're going in the right direction. There's always more to do, but I think the next challenge for our group is looking again at the recycling. Mr. Horvath has a lead on a new potential glass. I guess vendor isn't really the right word, because we're not going to be paying anything for it, that's where our focus is gonna be for the next few months, is what we can do in the new year as far as recycling. There will be another countywide transfer station manager meeting coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I will plan to attend that. It's a great way to network and find out what the other transfer stations in the county are doing well. And I'll be honest, it's a chance for us to kind of brag a little bit about some of the positive things that are being done up here, and maybe there's something we're doing that one of the other towns will find useful.
Thank you.
Not much to report.
Okay. Sir Jim.
Yeah, sewer. First off, paving will start on October 20th. Should last for 2 to 3 days. There will be disruptions. There will be road closed, but you'll be able to do a U-turn. They're going to do their best to keep the bank open so that you can get into there even when the paving's going on. They're going to do their best to have a second entrance or at least one entrance into Tops Markets. So that'll put the disruption on Main Street, that'll bring it to a close. We had a fun surprise a week and a half ago, digging down at Railroad Place, doing the final leg, preparing for the pump station. Contaminated soil was found. DEC spill response was brought in. They did not issue a stop work order, though the contractors didn't do any work. Still haven't done any work there until, we had a meeting with a DEC representative. The assigned engineer from Labella for the state that will be overseeing at least the digging. The current plan is to widen the trench from 6 feet to 8 feet, remove the contaminated soil, stack the contaminated soil on the parking lot, which is the lot and piece of property where the contamination was found. The state will then come every couple of days, haul it away for disposal. We're still waiting to see how much the state will pay for. That is the site of a previous cleanup. The hillside that is now a grassy area was cleaned up before when the ARCO station was taken down. I believe the remediation now, based off of what we have found, the remediation of the rest of it was to make a parking lot that we were unaware of. So the state knows that they do have some responsibility. We don't know quite what it is yet. Most likely it's a petroleum product. Samples were taken, that was sent out to a lab. We're still waiting on results. Steps that we have in place currently until the plan is finalized. Keller is getting us numbers for the increased cost of doing an 8-foot trench. Most of the fill that will be required, they have stockpiled on their lot, so the cost of the fill shouldn't be too much. If the state only comes and says we're only going to pay for half of it, we're looking at redesign work that would take the components that are needed away from the contamination and still be able to tie into all the other structures that are there. It won't interrupt paving. It's the last bit of digging that they'll need to do. It won't disrupt the lodge and the Holden Hall. It won't disrupt the plant or delay that, but it is something that we're dealing with. We have roughly $500,000 left in contingency money. Hopefully the state pays for the majority of it. If we run into an issue where it becomes a budget constraint, Keller is going to keep records so that we know exactly the added cost to the remediation, and we can put a claim in on the old cleanup for reimbursement. That will take time. But that's an option that the sewer has. So that's the sewer. There was some postings on,
Jim, I'm sorry, can I just
Yeah.
ask?
yeah,
Who would the claim for the reimbursement go to?
well, it's gonna go against the state, I
Okay.
believe.
Their cleanup fund.
The
Their,
cleanup
their
fund.
revolving cleanup fund.
And I know this question is probably impossible to answer, sorry.
Yeah.
But because I don't know, I have no idea, 8-foot trench, 6-foot trench, but
Yeah.
is $500,000?
If we had to do it all ourselves without any state help, it would push us to the brink.
Okay.
Yeah. It's extremely important that the state help steps
Okay.
in and helps.
Okay.
Whether they pay for half of it or pay for all of it and then leave the cost of us for digging a wider trench.
Okay.
Their reasons for a wider trench are they don't want to disrupt our construction. So if we go for a wider trench and we fill it with clean fill and it comes back that there's dioxin there, they're going to tear up that whole area, remediate it. And they don't want to have to disturb our sewer, right? If it's just petroleum products, they're probably going to just leave them in the ground. And
That was one of the first questions I asked Jim was,
yeah,
are we leaving it at the 8 feet, at 8 feet wide, or are they gonna wanna go beyond that? And I don't think we're gonna know that until they come
Sure.
back with the results from the testing, because we don't know what it is yet.
Okay. No, thank you.
Yep.
Curious, how did you know it was foul? Like, what did it look like?
Black, oily, and the oxygen level in the trench dropped to 0. It is,
Yep.
yeah, county parking lot and under it's county and state, town. Yeah, so, and then when we did the testing, same thing. I mean, it smells like a railroad tie on a hot day times 100. Yeah, the hillside is clean. Yep, hillside is clean. That was the site of the former remediation. So, yep.
Jeff? Well, we share the property. So, it's gonna be an interesting dance.
The reason we want to leave it on site to be trucked from there, one, it's a hard it's a hard surface. Poly will be put down, it'll be covered. There'll be a smell down there as it's being stacked up. But hauling of hazardous materials requires a
Permit.
different permit than just a regular CDL Class A truck driver. So even to haul it to a temporary area to store presents its own problems. So what we agreed with the state was that it would sit there. That's what their first choice was, and that works out from a trucking standpoint as well, preventing us to have to haul with a different hauler at a greater expense. I don't know. No.
No idea, Jeff. Mindy, you had a,
I do. Yep.
Tony, did you have a?
We don't know.
That
No.
was my question initially to Jim was, how much more are they gonna dig up, given the fact that it's contaminated soil? And they know there's an old gas station that sat there, not to mention there was a railroad depot down there. I mean, they could dig up the entire parking lot. They're trying to limit it, at least from what I gather, for the time being. In the end, it will probably be the state and the DEC that will make the decision as to what will get dug up and to what degree.
Yep, the little brown building. Yeah, we've held off on doing the lateral there until the state engineers are here. So they Keller wanted to go throw that lateral into that building, but being that close, we are holding off until, absolutely. Yep, yep. It's gonna, it'll probably smell like it did in the 1920s. Is an industrial area. Yeah, so we did, there were test pits that were dug. All the contaminated soil is still in the ground. On the hillside where they dug and put, you know, the line up, that was fine, but on the parking lot side, yeah, it's from the beginning of that parking lot where you pull in, all the way across the parking lot to where the pump station was to go, was contaminated. So, yep. That's that.
We're good?
Yep.
All right.
No, I got.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
got,
I'm sorry.
I got quite a bit more.
I'm sure.
So again, there was a posting, concerns about Orta's Lodge. Generally, I don't respond to Facebook messages or Facebook stuff, but there was some information there that did not present the entire fact. So I'm going to go through that post. Hopefully it'll take care of a couple of things. First off, water. Water in Orta's Lodge started April 2024 when we started our meetings with Orta. And Orta was unaware that they had to do a water application. Again, you need to keep in mind that Orta is a self-permitting agency that doesn't normally have to go through the normal permitting process with towns, municipalities. They go through the DEC, they go through the APA, but they don't go through normal building. They were unaware that they had to do a water application, so we got their water application to them. They started construction in April. They had 2 taps into our water system. One was an 8-inch line, the other a 6-inch line. Most residential homes have a 2-inch line. So there was a fee for the connection, right? So normally what happens if someone is going to hook up to our water system and it's a larger project, they do an application fee, there's a connection fee, there's inspection fees, and then there is engineering to make sure that the plans for whatever that entity is and our water system can match each other. In Orta's case, you've got a large lodge, you've got a fire suppression system. It was important to figure and calculate whether our water supply could support their fire suppression system and still provide water to the rest of the residents in town. So what you can't have is a fire at a lodge, water that's going to that firefighting, and then everyone else's water pressure drops. So there's a bunch of engineering that needs to go on. Orta wanted to do their water connection before the whole process came to completion. So, and again, I can understand why. They're putting in a water line 9 feet deep. That's the first bit of infrastructure they have for their lodge. So we gave them a temporary approval once their water connection fee was paid to hook in and tap in to our water lines. Orta was confused as to what that money was for because they looked at the water taps and said, well, we can do that cheaper. But that connection fee is not for the job of connecting. That is buying into the entire system that provides you water. So that is the pressure tanks, that is the wells, that's all the infrastructure that's already there. So in someone's application, that connection fee on that initial is buying into the water district system. Orta was given preliminary approval to hook in. They did hook in. It was stated very clearly in that preliminary approval that there would be other engineering costs associated with the water connection, and that when they wanted their water service completed, then they would be paying those fees. Fast forward to a month or so ago, well, fast forward to April, where they were given a bill for two things. One, the Joe Minder Lodge, which I'll talk about in a minute. The second was for the engineering fees, right? So that bill arrived at ORDA in April. About a month ago, ORDA called me and they wanted to do a test. And they wanted to do a test of their fire suppression system. Mind you, the water to the lodge has been on the entire time. So no water to the lodge was ever turned off, threatened to be turned off. The fire suppression system water, however, had not been turned on because their fire suppression system, I guess, wasn't ready. They called and wanted to do a test of their fire suppression system, and they were informed that we could turn the water on, but once the test was over, the water would be turned off until their engineering bill was paid. They then said to the town, well, you can't turn it off, and if you do turn it off, the town will be liable for any damages. We then turned that over to our lawyers. Our lawyers contacted their lawyers and tried to work through the billing of the water. In that billing, there are some things that are not, looking at it as I have now after it all, how billing works is the town is a pass-through. We get billed by Cedarwood for engineering related to the water. We get billed by Cedarwood for engineering related to their services. And what they have done is they've put a code ORDA Lodge on that. There are several different things where our engineers have been involved with ORDA, not directly related to water. Some of those billings ended up on the ORDA bill. They disputed that, and until that was resolved, we were not going to turn on the water, right? Or allow them to have their test. So eventually what happened was ORDA put half of the amount of the bill into escrow. We said, if you owe more, then you pay more. We'll sit down, we'll discuss all of the charges. If you owe less, we'll refund you. And they were able to then do their fire suppression test, and the building is now protected with a fire suppression system. So that's water. Water in relation to Joe Minder Lodge. I have a contract from ORDA. It's an agreement. It's the 2017 agreement. I recommend that everyone in town, if you have any interest, foil this, or we'll make copies and have it available, right? So there's a couple things with Joe Minder Lodge. Joe Minder Lodge, I asked 2 years ago, I said, hey, what's Gore's plan for Joe Minder Lodge once the lodge is finished? And I said, and who owns it? I was informed that Joe Minder Lodge was paid for by ORDA. It was built by ORDA, and that ORDA owned the lodge, right? The town has never gotten a building permit to build Joe Minder Lodge. We don't have a certificate of occupancy for Joe Minder Lodge. We've never paid insurance on Joe Minder Lodge, and Joe Minder Lodge is not on the register of town buildings. The contract, as it reads, has several references to Joe Minder Lodge and improvements at ORDA. So one of them, it specifically states that Joe Minder Lodge, Ski Bowl Base Lodge, during the town's period of occupancy, May 1 through October 31st annually, Johnsburg will manage the occupancy schedule of Joe Minder Lodge. Should ORDA cease operations at the Johnsburg Ski Bowl Park, this building will become the exclusive property of Johnsburg at no cost to Johnsburg. There's another section, surrender, that says at the expiration of this agreement, ORDA will quit and surrender the property as improved by ORDA in as good a state of condition as received, reasonable wear and tear and damages by fire or elements or from causes beyond its control, except ORDA shall retain ownership of the improvements, including the lifts, electrical, infrastructure, snowmaking installed on the property, except the Joe Minder Base Lodge. So this is written in such a way that if the town owned it, we wouldn't have to worry about ORDA not surrendering Joe Minder Lodge to us, right? Regardless, the town has said to ORDA is now disputing who owns Joe Minder Lodge. The town has said to ORDA, if you are interested in turning Joe Minder Lodge over to the town, send us a letter. And we as a board can consider it. As far as the utilities to Joe Minder Lodge, it's made really clear in this contract that utility costs associated with the ORDA recreational facilities, ORDA will be responsible for all operating costs, including utilities of Ski Bowl Base Lodge during the term of this agreement, including Johnsburg's occupancy. Johnsburg shall reimburse ORDA for any exceptional energy costs that occur during its occupancy. Water is a utility. Joe Minder Lodge uses water. So regardless of its ownership, ORDA is responsible for the water charges to Joe Minder Lodge. They have never received a bill from the town. They received a bill in April this year. In the past, the water district has been subsidizing ORDA's use of water at the Joe Minder Lodge, right? Nobody has read the contracts and actually gone to try to enforce those. The town is not holding up ORDA's opening of their lodge. Let me repeat that again. The town is not holding it up. We have a sewer. There is a Holden Hall agreement in the sewer. ORDA, and you'll remember if you've attended board meetings, we went through a presentation by ORDA for them to put in an SBR unit at the Joe Minder Lodge so that they could open in July. We paid lawyer fees, our lawyers' fees for that. We paid engineering fees that cost the town thousands of dollars to go through and prepare that agreement. ORDA walked away from that agreement. They could be open right now independently on their own had they decided to do that. They chose not to. Now they are linked to our sewer system and getting it ready for a Holden Hall. That is not the town's fault. ORDA decided to walk away from pursuing that agreement and doing the SBR unit. That is not a lie. This is a town board meeting. It is. You were not in on all of those meetings.
I want to say something as a town board member. I have sat here for 2 years.
Can I finish my? Can I finish?
I
Look,
would like to say something, Jim.
I'm giving a committee
Great.
report,
Please give your community report.
and to have a member of the public say that I am lying is not how town government works, right?
Shoot bets.
Did ORDA not try to pursue an SBR unit with the town and Front Street?
We try to pursue an SBR unit in order to help the town.
No, that was for you.
It is not a true statement
Well,
that lodge would have been open if we put an SBR unit in.
well, I would say your engineer.
If you want to talk about the Joe Minder,
Yeah.
we can talk about that.
Right. So the question is, the town, well, the question is the town holding up Orta's Lodge opening? No, we are not. We're putting in our sewer system. It is not ready. You need a sewer system for a lodge to open. We have worked hard to keep that sewer system open or ongoing so that we can have the economic benefit that the lodge will provide. The lodge alone is not going to provide the economic benefit. It's the subsequent development. The question that you have and need to ask is, the lodge being open is just one aspect. What you need to ask, and I don't have an answer for, is the zip coaster is what's going to bring people into town when it's not a ski center. The zip coaster was supposed to be open and operational, and it has seen delays. Right? That's a reality. As far as the easement goes, Orta was unaware their snowmaking line from the Hudson. So there was an easement made in 1996 between the town and Orta, and actually through the DEC. And the easement in 1996 was a temporary easement that needed to be made permanent within 5 years after completion of the project or after 5 years. As I got into town and started doing research and looking at the various things that are impacting the park in the town and looking at Parcel B and the potential of the town turning Parcel B over to Crickler, right, as the lodge is getting built, I discovered that the easement had never been made permanent and wasn't attached to any deed. I brought this information to Orta and let them know that you don't have an easement and it's not attached to any deed, right? The easement was two things. The easement was granting Orta a right of way to bury the snowmaking line and constructing it in such a way as a cross-country ski trail linking the town of Johnsburg Park with the expanded cross-country ski trail system and maintaining it as a non-motorized open space recreational trail. Brought this to Orta, talked to them about this. Kevin and I discussed it and said, well, a lot has changed since 1996. So there's an entire ski operation going on. There's a cross-country ski operation going on. We sat and met with Betty Little, and Betty said, quote unquote, we make a boatload of money off of the cross-country ski trail or the ski network. The problem with this easement going through Parcel B is twofold. One, we don't care where it goes, quite honestly. Orta had dug up the line. It supposedly goes through the hotel that David Crickler wants to build. We informed Orta not to bury it until we hammer out the details of this easement. The town asked and said, we'll gladly sign the easement for you, but we need to generate income for the maintenance of our park. And we asked for a sum yearly payment for this lease. Orta did not want to pay that. They said, well, there's no precedent for us to do that, but there was a precedent that was already established. Orta used to pay the town money for the use of the North Creek Water District Reservoir. At one point, Supervisor Hogan tried to contact or did contact Orta and asked for more money for that payment. Orta went and claimed to the DEC, rightfully so, that they maintain the dam, they do the certificate for the dam, so they should own the dam. The DEC sided with Orta. Those payments stopped. So the town was asking for payments for this easement, right? So we need to be able to generate money to maintain our park. Period. Stop. End of story. These discussions were all the way with Orta's president of the board, Ashley. And what we were promised for the easement was help in acquiring grant money for our park. We stated, well, it's already in the contract and you haven't done that. Why would we expect you to do that now? Right? So that's the easement. The easement hasn't been signed. Orta went ahead and buried the line that they had dug up for the lodge and reconnected it. The town had sent an email asking them not to do that, but they did do that. They were able to make snow last winter. They'll be able to make snow this winter, but the easement is something that's outstanding, right? One aspect that we also have to discuss is when authorization for the ski bowl lodge and lifts were given by this board in April 16th, 2024, the town's approval was contingent on the issuance of a surety bond by Orta to the town, or a deposit of $500,000 to be held in escrow to guarantee the park mountain bike, hiking, and recreational trails that need to be rerouted or repaired due to construction will be done by a member of a professional trail builders association, and additionally to cover any other damage to park infrastructure, including but not limiting ball fields, roads, fencings, and buildings. This has never been paid. So at the end of the day, the town has, in many ways, tried to operate in good faith with Orta. We have run into struggles. We'll continue to operate in good faith. But as far as water, Orta shouldn't be treated any different than any other person in the water district. As far as sewer, Orta shouldn't be treated any different. We're going out of our way to get a Holden Hall for Orta so they can open their lodge. That should be completed by Thanksgiving, and they'll be able to open. There will be an issue of an agreement that needs to be made. There is no mechanism for the town sewer district to pay for Orta's Holden Hall. They will be required to burden those costs on their own until the sewer is up and running. They don't like that, but that's just how it has to be. Does that answer your questions, Art? Yes, you were the one that made the post. You were the one that made the post. Yeah.
I have a question. I have a question. How much did Orta pay to hook up? How much did Orta pay to hook up to the water system, our water system?
$20,000
So what's the average for hooking up to the water system?
for a 2-inch line. Let's look at the rates we just approved. Usually it's a 2-inch line going into a home. They hooked in an 8-inch and a 6-inch line.
So what's the math to get to $20,000? I'm just curious. on
You'd
that.
have to ask our engineers.
Okay, so that would be my first question. My second question is in Councilman Williams' committee report, he used the words "we" and the town and in good faith, but I want to be very, very clear to the community right now that in none of this was I included. I don't know about any other board members, but in these conversations with Orta, it was certainly not a we conversation. And as I understand how New York State law works, and as I understand how town boards work, it is 5 people sitting here representing the community, in which we should all be making decisions and we should all be talking. So all of this about order, the sewer, the water, the escrow, all came to my attention when we received legal notice from our attorneys. So the good faith of the town is not a matter of me. I can't speak for anybody else on the board, but it is for the matter of the people who were in the room talking to order. And that is a very distressing thing for me as a town board member, that we are sitting here having this conversation about good faith and the words "we" and the town, when it was certainly not a "we" conversation. And I think that should be very, very clear to the community, that it was not a "we" conversation. Because Bo and I was not there for any of those conversations, and I was certainly not dialed in. Nor did I vote or have a say on a lot of the things that happened. And that is not how a town board should work.
Were the other members of the board involved? Besides,
Most of this was done, Jim and I worked with our legal team. It was with attorneys.
Kevin, is there anything that I may have misrepresented?
Bone, do you want to say anything?
Let Kevin answer.
To the best of my knowledge, everything that, because we've been through actually had a conversation with our attorney today about Joe Minder Lodge, and he was going to look into it because he was not, I explained what you had told me or what we had discussed, and he was looking into just exactly whether it was shared or whether it was owned by Order. That was the only thing he was looking into. But everything else.
I thank Anna for her observation and for her comment. And the short answer that I can give is ditto to what Anna had to say. Thank you.
I just want to say that usually when you have conversations like that, that's why you have legal counsel, and you go by what they tell you to do, am I correct?
Yep.
So that's what you're listening to. Legal advice, okay? I thought everybody was on committee, and then when you guys vote on certain things, that's when it's discussed here. Because I don't know if, like, Jim knows what's going on in marketing committee, and he's pretty easy at everything that's going on. So that's why we have town meetings, so that each committee report can report on their thing. How not? No.
I think big decisions that affect the town's relationship on a state and county level with a state organization are things that we should be talking about and making decisions about as a town board. Not 2 people in a room with that state organization making decisions on behalf of the town and then speaking as if they are the town. That's a big difference, Amy. That's a big difference.
Well, I'd like to commend Jim for all his work he's done on this, and he's not taking one dime. And I know he's got thousands of, hundreds of hours in this. And, everything that I want to know is usually before you get to committee. I knew what was going on when I saw, you know. I see posts on Facebook, and I can almost answer all of them just
Pete?
I was on the board for years, so I have a pretty good sense of what board members should be hearing and how they should be hearing them. It seemed like a big surprise tonight to hear a report covering years and years and years of discussions and know what the board member is prepared for. There should be some form of preparation ahead of this meeting before we hear all this as a public discussion.
To be honest with you, Pete, I've kept up on this. Anything I've asked Jim, he's been very free about. I've let Jim's experience and the direction he's going with the sewer, I've let him take care of that as a committee and bring the information back. Anytime I've asked a question, I've always had the information. I've been fairly up to date on what's been going on this. I don't think anybody's been left out. All you had to do is ask, for one.
I'm just telling you how it looked from here.
Right, well,
Yes, Kelly?
May I ask why, Johnsburg feels there's need to move the pipeline? What's the matter?
That's a Front Street question. I don't know what his design is. I don't know what it is, where his plan is. I do know that Orta has said over and over and over, we can't negotiate with private landowners. So Orta wants us to sign the easement. I'm sure, because then if we do turn parcel B over, that's where it is, regardless of what David's desire might be. David would probably like to see it moved in a place that doesn't interfere with his building. Those have really been the guardrails for the town, right? By not signing that easement, Orta can't claim that, no, here's where it is. And Front Street then can't claim you have to move it. So quite frankly, you know, if Orta wanted to pay us a certain fee to have it, that's going to generate income for the park, hey, step up to the plate. I'll consider that for sure. And then David can redesign if he needs to redesign. We asked for $100,000 for a year. We also said that we could do user fees to our park. We could give every town resident a free pass to our parks and charge a user fee. The DEC charges day use fees of $10 to their state parks. We could do the same to our park and generate $5 for each individual that's a non-town resident that comes to use our park. That would be a pain for Orta, I'm sure, because now when a busload of kids come to a cross-country ski race, there's 40 kids, well, 40 times 5, you know, there's some income that's generated. That really isn't a workable, it is a workable solution to generate income. It's not an ideal one. Right? So we're looking, we have an area of our park that there is no direct support of Orta for the town of Johnsburg. Opening Ski Bowl and doing the interconnect was supposed to save our downtown. Go downtown. It doesn't look very good, right? This new lodge is a great thing for our town, but we also need the sewer to have the potential development that can help. They go hand in hand. So all we've done, we've tried not to air this. All this is dirty laundry. There's been a lot of things. There's a lot of things the town is not seen from the contracts from Orta. We've pointed those out. We have some things that we can negotiate on. There's been no movement. It's not a partnership. We're looking for that partnership.
The other thing I'd like to say is that how close
weeks earlier, township meeting, they were gonna raise the entire building over there. Call it the, you know, like a red shack or something, and take it down. And then 2 weeks later, the next board meeting, they were, oh, we're gonna rebuild it. And the deal was that the town kicked in the remains of their insurance money that they had collected from burning it down in the old building, which was about $135,000. And they turned that over to Orta, and Orta put some money into it, and then Orta built the whole thing, later this.
Orta did, Orta built it.
And my understanding was is that the town owned the building.
Sure. Say the town owns the building, but all utility costs are gonna be paid by Orta per the contract. Water is a utility. That's why they got a bill.
But right now, the way we do not insure Joe Minder and we do not maintain Joe Minder. We use Joe Minder in the spring and the fall, spring.
It's a 6-month split.
It's a spring split, yeah. And our attorney is looking into it because I talked to him about that today. Arthur.
Thank you. I just want to make sure, Jim, your long presentation.
Sure.
I was just trying to make sure that.
Yeah.
But what I would suggest, honestly, Kevin, for longest, is perhaps a set of facts that Jim presented. Maybe there's a way of having a joint documentation of all of this between Orta and the town, so the town has all sides of the perspective and facts. I mean,
Well,
that might be a good thing to do for the town board to do.
Well, the contract's been, all of these contracts have been in place for a while.
No, I'm not challenging you.
Okay.
I'm just trying to say that maybe there's a way of rounding this out so we have 100% kind of picture of this. Having perhaps Orta respond to some of this in writing so that we have a record. Because quite honestly, without prolonging this, I look back through every minute since January 2024. And much of the information you just heard, you cannot find in the minutes. That's number one. Number two, there's no committee report that's published on the television. So it's hard to really kind of dig in to get the level of facts, not that I need those, but into the level of facts. I'm just saying that there's frequently just not enough information for us to kind of say, oh, we're on target, we're not on target, and it's a $40 million building, and shouldn't we figure a way to make all this work? There's got to be room between these two parties to reach agreement. It just doesn't make sense. So anyway, I just.
Unfortunately, we go back into the 1990s. I mean, there's times when we through it all, and I'm trying to understand it.
I can't hear.
I said, it unfortunately goes back to the 1990s when this all started. And to read through everything and to try and find out, that's what Jim has done.
I'm not questioning, I'm just saying.
What needs to be agreed on, Art? What needs to be agreed on? They have a water bill. They put money into escrow. We'll sort it out. Their water got turned on. There needs to be a hold and haul agreement. Our lawyer is working with their lawyer to draft it up. The lodge opens. What's there outstanding that needs to be agreed upon?
Well, it seems to me two parties can come together and figure all this out and resolve it, because right now it's leaving kind of a sense of frustration and tension in town, because, you presented a series of facts, whether they're right or not right, I don't have a way of challenging that. But it seems that it's so important to bring together the two parties, as opposed to they did this, we did that, and just from
We've been trying.
it just doesn't make sense.
Well, there needs to be a common understanding of the facts. I mean, we heard a report from one person, but it appears that the whole board doesn't really understand the story of Signal, or they haven't had a chance to discuss it. So having discussions with an external party like Orta, without a common understanding among the board, is kind of fraught with problems. Yeah, it's happened for decades and decades, but if we're gonna solve the problem, there's gotta be an approach where everybody can approach from the same set of facts on both sides.
Bruce.
we've been doing.
But it hasn't been brought back to be voted on publicly.
There's no action yet.
Well, there have been decisions that have been made up until this point that have not been brought back to the board to be spoken about publicly or voted on. There's been a lot of decisions that have been made. So I agree with you completely, Bruce, that that's how things should be done. I agree with you 100%.
Bills, when they're sent out, can come to the board for approval.
I have looked at the bill that went to order. I looked at the bill that went to order from Cedarwood. I looked at the bill that we got from Cedarwood. And as someone who grew up in a household whose father is a contractor and has been looking at invoices since she was a little girl, I have concerns with how that invoice has been done. It's not a well-done invoice.
So what action did you take?
I just was brought to my attention. It has just been brought to my attention. Because again, this has not been a conversation that has been public or part of the entire board. So this is something that I just found out about.
So are we looking for board then to come every meeting?
No, I'm saying, no, I'm saying,
Everybody has a full understanding of what's happening between Orton and the town of Johnsburg.
no, I'm saying that if there's an invoice and there's a problem with Orta paying it, then as a board, we should have been talking about that publicly and saying, because when I look at it, I say, well, yeah, I have concerns about how this is invoiced and how things are written down because it's very unclear to me. It's very broad. And if I got that invoice, I would have an issue with it. And I know if my father sent it out to any of his clients, he'd certainly be getting a phone call. So yeah, there are issues with how the invoice was sent out. And that should have been a conversation that we had as a board. So it's not just that Orta didn't want to pay their invoice. It's that maybe there were questions about it. And if we had had that conversation as a board, maybe as 5 members of a board, we could have come up with a solution.
If I may, please. So when this was going on, I reached out to Bone and I said, look, our relationship, yours and mine, is on good footing. Let's let the legal folks battle this one out. Let's just stand on the sidelines. Is that accurate or inaccurate, Jim?
We had a very similar conversation again today.
Right, yes. Again, this is one of those things where I try to not air dirty laundry. I try not to bring stuff like this to a public forum. I'd like to try to work back channels with legal so that it doesn't become like this. That's really the way I'd like to go about doing things, folks. I'm not looking to air dirty laundry at all. That's not how I function. I would rather that we sit down and Jim and I have tried. We have worked with both Ashley and Joe and a few others, Betty Little. Again, it's one of those things where Orta's leadership, and again, please, Bone, I hope you don't understand, but both Ashley and Joe see it their way, and Jim and I and our attorneys have seen it our way. And we're not trying to make this ugly. This was not the intention at all. Yes.
Have you considered mediation and a professional mediator? That this sounds so much like the kinds of contract negotiations that have gone on in the public sector forever, and the mediators have been very successful.
It's probably a good point, Donna. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, right.
Danae, when was the bill sent? April? So bill was sent in April. When did anyone hear from Orta that they had a problem with the bill?
I think Bone and I spoke
August?
6-7 weeks ago. Does that sound about right? Yeah. So. Something like that, yeah. Yes. Folks, we need to break into executive session. So I need a motion, huh? Personnel issue. We're dealing with a personnel issue. Gene, do you have the language that speaks to this?
Matters regarding personnel.
Matters regarding personnel.
Could I get a motion?
Can I get a motion to break into?
Motion?
Okay.
Do you have something to put?
All right, folks, finished an executive session. We are going to make an offer to one David Galarno to be our assessor. And again, let me underscore offer and wait to see what his response is. But that's the person we have chosen, and we'll see what happens. We do. We do. Can I make a motion to come out of executive session?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Where the heck are we? Privilege of the floor. Oh,
We have it throughout the meeting.
It was the whole meeting.
oh, yeah, sure, absolutely.
Well, it was just an offer.
It's an offer at
It's an offer. He's got 30 years of experience. No, he does not. 71 projects in 4 states, 30 years of experience. I mean, he actually negotiated with Ticonderoga and with International Paper, which turned out to be, he walked it right through and got the judge and everybody on board. And to do that with a company the size of International Paper, I thought was pretty impressive.
He also did some training of assessors.
Yes, he has. And he's willing to do that some more. Or well, he's actually willing to do presentations too for the town. Yep. Okay.
Very open about doing that.
Yep.
And can he do the assessments himself?
He's the sole assessor.
He's a sole assessor, yes. Yep. Yep. Anyone else for privilege of the floor? Okay, yes, thank you. All right. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in
Second.
favor? Aye.
Who was first?
Jim and Jim and Anna.
Ty.
Yeah, Ty. I'll arm wrestle you first on that one.
I'll let you win.